Yes.
And I'll pull up the agenda.
Who's there besides Andrew?
Just Andrew and I.
Okay.
I thought, yeah, I thought Roger might be here, but he may be tied up this morning. I'm not sure. So we'll call the meeting to order. We have the minutes from the previous meeting, which Jane sent out, and they are, I have them here somewhere. There we go. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? If not, they'll stand approved as sent. The first item on the agenda after the minutes is we did go ahead and we purchased 3 items. One is a little docking station, a USB docking station, which helps because we have a lot of inputs coming into the computer at the church. One of the other was simply an adapter because a lot of the newer USB are the smaller. What is that? Is that a C plug?
Yeah, I forget. Sometimes it's called a micro USB.
Right. So I had to get an adapter for that. In fact, I have an adapter if you want.
I looked further in my PolySync 20
And you had one.
kit, and it was included.
And then the third thing we bought was a cable, which we had hoped would connect the computer to the soundboard. And it would be coming out of my microphone headphone port, and it didn't seem to work. And so we're going to keep sort of working on that to try to figure out why it wasn't working and what we can do to make that work. One of the things that you sometimes worry about buying cables from anywhere, but particularly Amazon, is sometimes the cables don't work. Sometimes it's a bad cable. So we haven't determined that yet. So we still have a little bit of leeway there. So we're hoping to actually sort of segue into the next item, which happens to be Andrew did some work with 2 gentlemen who have provided some assistance. So I'll let Andrew address that.
Well, I think I
You sent them out.
forwarded the discussion thread from each of these guys, and I found these guys on Upwork. Upwork is the freelancing platform that you can grab. You can source expertise for almost anything. And so I just had some initial conversations with them, and they were very nice to get back after I explained where we were sort of getting caught up in our Zoom meeting production setup. They made a suggestion. I think they're both pretty much aligned on the suggestion that we need a passive direct box to modulate the signal down before it gets back into the computer. So this is this aligns with my experience at my previous community, and a passive direct box is, I think they're where it range in price anywhere from $40 to $60 to $80. It really depends on the model that you get. They have them available, I believe, at Sam Ash Music down on 41. And I would think that we could and should go ahead and get one. Actually, I think it might be better if we get one from Amazon, because if we don't, if we're not successful with it for whatever reason, I think the return process is a little easier at Amazon. And but I think that, we'll have some potential success with that, I will actually, I created a Zoom meeting production manual for the community before I left, and I'm going to dust that off. It goes through step-by-step connections with their system. Of course, the system at Kirkwood is different from what I've set up over the previous community. But I think we can do some testing before we ever have to engage an actual consultant, one of these two men. So I think another test session with a passive direct box to help modulate the signal is probably our next step. As I think I mentioned in my email, I did not incur any consultant fees as of yet with the direction and recommendations that we've received so far. And I'm not sure that we'll have to if we're successful with this next test using some version of a passive direct box. So that would be my outcome from the research, is to get the committee's approval to select a medium level of passive direct box to help modulate the signal and get rid of the echo. And my understanding is it plugs in. Do you have an earphone jack in this?
Yeah.
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 Okay, so it goes, it connects to Chris's computer with an earphone jack into the passive direct box, and then the passive direct box, there's an XLR cable. The XLR cable is the microphone cable with the 3 prongs. Okay, that goes from the passive direct box into the soundboard, and it takes one of the microphone channels away and dedicates it specifically to the signal management, so that the virtual attendees are connected directly into the audio feed, both outbound and inbound. And knock on wood, I think that should get us the rest of the way. If it doesn't, then I would suggest retaining one of these consultants, setting up a second test session with the passive direct box, because maybe we're missing something. That session would be where we would just get a USB camera and focus it onto the entire setup with the consultant, having that view. And we would show him how we're connected and set up, and he would make any final adjustments. They are familiar with the Addison and Heath, I think it was, model of soundboard. So there would be a backup step if our self-directed experimentation and testing failed with this next effort. But those are the 2 steps in front of us. The first step before we get to either of those testing sessions would be to secure the passive direct box.
I'll entertain a motion to make that purchase. I would say a maximum of 80.
80.
Yeah, with a maximum of $80.
I move.
Okay, second?
I second.
Okay.
Okay.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. So we will go ahead with that purchase and through Amazon, and we'll set up another test. Roger, we usually have we like to have the technician that is at the church, and he is usually available on some of the afternoons, and so we'll get Roger and see when we can get a
Yeah, Roger and Sean. It's Sean.
right.
He's like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday afternoons. We'll absolutely make sure that. But we did get to the wall with both Roger and Sean on this. So, but it would be good to have them. Sean in particular, I think we'll all appreciate. We won't get to the end of the road on this. There has to be a solution. It's very. There has to be a quantitative solution. There's something we're missing. We're going to take our next steps. We'll get a solution, and then it'll be a great setup. It'll be, the venue is lots of elbow room. Still may want to mess with the video, depending on, as we go through the months and even years. It really depends on who's available, right, to run the cameras and
Right.
whatnot. And the alternative to that is a static setup where you've got a USB camera on a 25-foot extension cord mounted on a tripod, providing a bit of a fisheye view of the entire room, and it's just there, and you end up having no camera operator. It's not quite as elegant as what's going on right now, but it certainly does the trick, and it's an option for us to consider should we have problem with volunteer camera operators down the road.
Okay. Let's take a, yes, go
Yes.
ahead, Lynn.
I'm a little confused about why we had no Zoom problems in the Emmanuel Church. And we now have Zoom audio problems at this new place.
Well, we actually had a lot of Zoom problems at the Manuel Church.
Well, I know, other than the internet, the
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah, no, I think it's a different soundboard, and we were able to sort of figure out after actually quite a few trials and errors how that soundboard and the computer could interface, and so we were able to get that done. But I think it took a while before we were able to do that, and so. And this is simply a different soundboard, and it's just a matter of getting it all figured out. And I think, as Andrew pointed out, we'll get in.
Okay,
And
well,
actually, I think that at the last meeting, we were able to do this sort of workaround, which mainly was me holding a microphone up to my speaker on my computer for the people online to speak, and everybody could hear them, so it worked. But we want to get it better than that.
okay.
Roger just joined us, so we now have one more member here. How are we doing, Roger?
Good. I totally forgot until my grandfather clock rang 10 o'clock. And I said, oh my God, I'm supposed to be in a meeting.
Lynn, do you have any other questions about our switch over to Kirkwood and the situation we're trying to manage?
No, I really don't. First, I did want to say especially thank you to Chris and Roger and Andrew for putting all this time and effort into getting all these things sorted out. Are we committed to Kirkwood, or is that, I only asked that because at one point Roger said, well, my church is, a few blocks down the road from Kirkwood, and, we have a great soundboard, and, so I'm wondering where we're at in terms of the association's commitment to this new venue. We're finished with Emmanuel, is that right? Because we couldn't sort out the connection problems.
No, I believe it was more than that. Roger, you might be able to address that.
Yeah, they
Well,
scheduled something.
I don't mean to interject. We don't need to go there. I'm just saying, are we now committed to Kirkwood, and or is it still an open issue?
It's whatever we want it to be, Lynn. If we want to stay there, it's a month-to-month thing. So we're not committed to have to be there, but we can be there as long as we want.
Okay.
And there were scheduling issues with Emmanuel.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
That was really a side issue. Yeah. But we're done with Emmanuel. That's clear.
Well, I think at this point, yes.
Okay.
I can also say that if we decide to go to a third venue, then we will start to manage the Zoom meeting production process again, starting at square one, with all of the challenges that we're still dealing with right now. who knows, it might be better and smoother at another venue, but I think it's still a little early to be considering, and I'm not suggesting that you are, you're just curious about comparing something that's very familiar, and I have a lot of empathy for, hey, we had this venue and we're very used to it, and now we've introduced change, and the change is not going quite as smoothly as we'd hoped, and I get that as well. But again, these switchovers, they, like everything, change. There's some bumps in the road, but I think we're all committed to getting there from a technical standpoint. So we'll get there. I really like the venue at Kirkwood. Boy, there's a lot of elbow room in that room. It's a very nice meeting room, and everybody looks great on camera and spread out. And I certainly appreciate the opportunity to help finalize this.
Okay, we'll continue our website review, and particularly we're looking at the about menu and the association document. And I believe, see what I have here. One thing we talked about at the last meeting, and I added it to the home page. If you notice, I put a line at the bottom of this paragraph on the home page saying the About menu has information available to the general public and prospective buyers. And so I think it was suggested that we do that. The association documents, I've started to make those changes that were suggested, and so that's just kind of where we're at right now. I did get the where is it? The association FAQs for 2024. John sent those to me a week or so ago, and I put those in there. The 24 budget, the 24 maintenance fees. I know Roger suggested that we not necessarily have the year on those. My reason for having it is that it reminds me when I need to change them, and that if we didn't have the year on there, I might forget to make sure that they get changed. Any comment?
I agreed with Roger, but didn't send it to everybody, just on the principle that we had decided on earlier, at an earlier meeting, about not putting dates, that it would be assumed that if we had a posting that says association FAQ, it would be current. But I understand, Chris, and I'm prepared to concede to your whatever we need to do to get Chris to do all the work he does efficiently. I'm on board. I have two drafts that I have to review with John, the estoppel request and the condominium questionnaire, which were so mysterious in their current form. I have rewritten those, I have drafts, but I just have to get John to approve of them. And then I'll give them to you, Chris. I do have a really teensy suggestion for the homepage. And that is to put that your addition, which I think is fine, in a new paragraph.
Okay, that makes sense. Yes, I can do that.
Okay.
One
Just
thing
for
that I did was just recently, I think I did send John an email about the census form because I don't know if you remember this or not, Roger, but didn't he mention that they might want to review it or revise it?
Yeah, I think he did want to look at it, see if it should be revised.
Right. So I sent him the current copy of the census form because I do think that we should send out an email to all our owners that they ought to fill out the census form. And so I don't think it gets filled out in any regular fashion like it probably should. So that people can make changes that happen with different cars, different addresses, all the things that the census form is supposed to do. I'm not sure is getting done as efficiently as it could. So I'll hope to get. I hope he gets back to me on that, and we'll get an email sent out about it.
Do you have any comment about the insurance appraisal 2018 document? I mean, I could be mistaken, but I do believe that all condo associations are required to have a complete insurance appraisal done
And
once every 3 years.
It was redone last year, and that's when it went up to the 92 million. There's a new one somewhere. Got to be something newer than 2018.
I thought there was two, and I don't think I've seen that.
We're gonna have to ask John for it, because that's when our insurance went up so much, because they bumped it to 78,
To
92 million.
92 million, yeah.
And
Okay.
either 21, if it wasn't 22, it was 21.
I thought it was only every 5 years you had it.
Every 3.
I think it's
Is it
every,
everything?
yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll find out what's going on there because I don't remember seeing the updated one. I thought there was one, but I haven't seen it.
I only put that date on there after fishing through pages and pages of that document.
Uh-huh.
And at some point, it's dated.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
believe it says there that it has to be updated every so-and-so number of years. But
Yeah.
anyway, the one that goes to that link, even though it's not dated on the first page or anywhere close to the first page, it does at some point have that date on it.
Okay. Well, I'll check on that. One suggestion that I made, and I'd like some feedback on this, is that we have in the menu, about menu, the general FAQ that Lynn provided, and whether or not that ought to be under association documents or if it should be its own separate item.
I think what we decided was that it should not be under association documents, and that it should be
Renamed. Right? We're not getting your audio, Lynn.
Yeah, Lynn's freezing up.
Jane, are you okay? She froze too.
Maybe we're freezing up.
Yeah,
I think we're freezing up.
I think so too.